All right, tubers. Matt Emroy back once again. I've actually switched my mic setup here for this one because I think we need to get a little serious here, folks. Those of you that have seen the thumbnail here know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sure a lot of you are as concerned as I am about the new coronavirus that's been out. I've been in the news for a while. They have that ship in Japan, the Princess ship that's been docked off the coast for a while, and a lot of people on there are getting sick. And I just wanted to share some of what I have heard. I am not a doctor. I don't pretend to be one. I'm not, but I do consider myself a well-informed individual. And with that all being said, I do have some updates that have come out very recently and very concerning updates, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to read this. This is actually from CNBC. This is the Health and Science. China confirms 15,152 new coronavirus cases, 254 additional deaths. China, Hubei province reported an additional 242 deaths, and again 14,840 new cases. Now, the concerning thing is if we move over to the Fox News, and I go with all the different sources, they're actually saying that China is underreporting the amount of new cases, and even more alarming, the amount of deaths that are out there. And I kind of understand why they're doing that. They don't want to alarm people, but at the same time, they need to be reporting the truth. I mean, the truth is what's going to actually save us in the long run, believe it or not. And I'll explain that a little bit more as we go on here. But this is BuzzFeed News. Coronavirus case numbers jumped overnight. It's because we changed how we count them. So some 15,000 coronavirus cases were added on Wednesday night. So this is Thursday. So this was actually from yesterday. The biggest jump seen so far in the outbreak, driven by doctors in the hardest hit China province, changing how they diagnose cases. Now, here's the one I was talking about. A cruise ship filled with even more sick passengers, a second death outside China. Overnight jump of 15,000 additional people diagnosed. It's all bad news, and the tragedy for the 1,370 people who have died in the outbreak still just over a month old. But the skyrocketing case count, driven primarily by last night's jump, doesn't point to a worldwide explosion of the disease, now called COVID. Public experts say, okay, before I go on anymore, basically the good news for us is there are very few cases outside of Hubei and the China. There are isolated cases, in the United States. There's been some in Canada, and I think there have been some in the UK too. Let me turn this down because I think I'm clipping a little bit. But basically what's happening is this is very similar to like SARS and all the other viruses we had. And I believe that was also classified as a coronavirus. What makes this one so difficult to treat is this is one of the very few times that a virus has jumped from an animal to a human host. And that's what has happened with the coronavirus. I think they said that they believe it came from like pigs or something originally. Excuse me. Spam calls tell you they get you every time. But that being said, the coronavirus itself is still very scary. The biggest problem that we're having now is making sure we keep the coronavirus contained. And in this country, in the United States, we do a very, very good job of basically isolating and doing quarantines on people that we think might be infected with any type of a virus, not just the coronavirus, but different strains of the flu, things that are highly contagious. And before I go on anymore, I want to say that there are ways you can protect yourself. The coronavirus is spread mainly through physical contact. So touching a doorknob that somebody that was infected with it is touched, or maybe touching a handrail on something like a subway or a platform and then touching your nose, which I'm guilty of that. I do that quite often. I know I shouldn't. That is the number one way that people are actually getting infected with this particular virus. Now, they did say that close contact with people, you can actually get it that way too, but it's much less likely. I'm going to answer questions here in just a few minutes, but I want to read a few more articles that I have here. Another thing is, here's this one's interesting too. This is from the New York Post. Scientists began testing new corona vaccine on mice. Scientists in the United Kingdom have developed a new corona vaccine that they've started testing on mice. According to the report, researchers at Imperial College London said they believe that they're the first to begin the animal testing phase as teams around the world. Compete to stop to spread the coronavirus. At the moment, we have just put the vaccine that we've generated from the bacteria into mice. Researcher Paul McKay told the outlet, "We're hoping that over the next few weeks, we'll be able to determine the response that we can see in the mice, in their blood, and the antibodies response to the coronavirus." Now, this is interesting because when they normally test vaccines, for other types of outbreaks like this, they never know for sure if it's going to work on humans, from mice testing or animal testing to humans. However, the fact that the coronavirus started in animals and transferred to humans makes this a good indicator that if they see it working in mice, then they should be able to rush this vaccine through the the FDA and all the different departments and get it into the people that really need it. So that is one plus looking forward through this whole ordeal. Harold K says that YouTube is suppressing videos about this. I'm not surprised. It amazes me, but First Amendment rights, you know what? We have the right to talk about this because at the end of the day, this is going to affect our health, possibly. I'm hoping that we don't have the same kind of outbreak here that we do, that they have over in China, but you never know. And people need to be informed. This is something that is very scary, honestly. I'm going to be brutally honest. This is scary. It's scaring me. Every time I go out in public, I think, oh boy, what is going to happen? Am I going to come in contact with somebody that's been over to China or, one of the countries and they're infected and I'm going to get infected? That's always at the back of my mind. But ways we can protect ourselves. And, I've been called pathological in the past about this. I wash my hands 25 to 30 times a day, which is definitely over average. But you know what? Especially during flu season and during seasons when you can get these types of infections, that is a great way to prevent yourself, or to limit best way to say it, limit the chance of getting an infection or a virus like this, any kind, not just the coronavirus. Victor Del Fuente, I heard 64 people died in one day in China due to the coronavirus. It is scary. I'll be honest with you. And I remember when SARS happened, SARS was really scary too. But I think that right now we have to be smart about it. There's no reason to panic because they're doing a very good job in most countries containing cases. And look, they even have these what do they call them? These vaccines in the testing phase right now. So we're actually proactive I'm not even going to say a country, as the world, when it comes to dealing with issues like this. And it's interesting that they've changed the name to COVID-19. I think now here's the thing. The reason that I believe they changed the name is the coronavirus. There could be more of them. Let me pull up a definition here real quick. Okay, so a coronavirus is any of a group of RNA viruses that cause a variety of diseases in humans and other animals. So, from what I understand, and again, I'm not an expert on this, but different types of the flu, there are a lot of different coronaviruses out there. So, to call this the coronavirus is actually, it doesn't make any sense. So, I think that's why they actually changed the name there. No. Victor Del Fuente's talking about a hazardous asteroid that's going to pass over Earth on Saturday. As long as it passes over Earth and doesn't come into contact with it, I'll be fine with that. I like the way CNBC worked this because they actually have a timeline here, like 1:25 p.m. China national level infection and death numbers delayed again, then 2:57 p.m. Hubei province extends work shutdowns again. And they're actually, believe it or not, they are actually checking people's temperatures as they go into like different stores and go into work, if they're going to go into work. Another thing that they're actually doing is most people are wearing masks now. And believe it or not, that does help. Now, is it a guarantee it'll protect you from getting it? No. But it definitely helps. And even more important than the people that are not sick, the people that are sick need to be wearing the masks because that'll help prevent them from spreading it out. Because remember, think about your high school, your middle school, your school days. Whenever somebody had a cold, the way you usually got it is they would sneeze, and sometimes they, at least, I don't know in your schools, but in my schools, half time they wouldn't even try to cover their face. A lot of times they would just sneeze, and then all of that would go into the room, and then you would ingest that, and that's how you would actually get sick. So again, even more important than the people that aren't sick wearing masks, it's even more important that the people that are sick wear those masks. Charlie Penske says, hey, I just joined in. I was toying with the notion of not doing this video, honestly, because, again, I am not an expert, and we're talking in facts here. I mean, I'm reading these facts right from the websites themselves, and I'm giving you the source of these facts as well. But I think it's something that needs to be out there. And if YouTube decides to take this video, this live stream down, then there's nothing I can do about that. But those of you that are here now watching this, at least are getting the information that you need. Okay, this is interesting. This one is from, let me make sure I get this right. This one is from BuzzFeed. Let me get back to it. Okay, the increase in cases, Ryan said, and this is, I think one of their editors here. Ryan said, does not appear to be a sign of a change in the trajectory of the disease. He cited the continued slow growth in cases seen outside Hubei province, with only 8 of some 537 cases outside mainland China not tied to travel to Wuhan. Or the travel from there. Possible evidence against a pandemic spread of COVID-19. The biggest cluster of outside cases so far has been amongst people quarantined abroad. The Diamond Princess cruise ship anchored off of Japan with 218 cases on the ship as of Wednesday. Passengers without symptoms will be allowed to disembark the ship, the cruise line announced Wednesday. So what they're basically saying here is the signs are good against a global pandemic, which basically means that the pandemic status, which it is technically classified as that in China, has not moved to other countries, because again, most of the other countries the developed countries, we're not talking about third world countries, are very good at controlling the outbreak of different diseases like this. We have the CDC here in the US. I don't know what they call them in the other countries, but so that is definitely a piece of good news. But the whole idea here is you want to just be smart about it. There's very little you can do physically to change the inevitable. I mean, what's going to happen is going to happen, but you can keep yourself safe. Wash your hands a lot. You know, if you are concerned about catching it, one thing that you really want to think about is the people that are most vulnerable to this are the people that have pre-existing conditions. So if you're diabetic, maybe you have like a heart condition or anything that compromises your immune system, then you want to be extra special careful. You want to maybe wear a mask, stay inside if you're concerned about it. And again, I'm going to keep saying this, wash your hands. So many of us forget to do that, and that is the most important. I don't know, Mark. Those are really good questions. But not questions, unfortunately, I can answer. Excellent. Good that George Blakely's doing well. I'm going to end it here, folks. That's all I wanted to say about it. I just want to do a quick live stream and make sure everybody is doing okay. I hope everybody out there is staying safe. Don't worry too much about it. You know, as long as you have good hygiene practices, I think we're all going to be fine. Until next time, have a blessed day, everybody.